For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Before we go into this podcast, I just want everybody to know we are recording at the end of August 2026. A week ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this podcast. 2 weeks ago, we would have been in the middle of the worst storm ever to hit Northwest Indiana. And I got to believe that has affected a lot of your clients. Joe, you got any special that were in kind of any special circumstances?
Well, there's been a couple. We had a couple deals delayed because of problems with trees and stuff down. We also, I recently sold a couple homes. One in Maryville during the first storm, lost all his trees right after we closed. And
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Experience a better way of home building with McFarland Homes. For over 25 years, McFarland Homes has been crafting high-quality homes right here in Northwest Indiana. Founded by Ron McFarland, our team of experts is committed to building homes that stand the test of time. Discover the comfort of a McFarland home in beautifully planned communities like Park West in St. John and Beacon Point West and Cedar Lake single-family community. With options like open floor plans, spacious master suites, and sun-filled Florida rooms, there's a McFarland home that's perfect for you. McFarland Homes, building a better way of living.
Cherish every moment. Enjoy every aspect of life. Laugh and smile. Family Dental Care loves what we do, and it shows in every smile we make. Attentive, respectful doctors listen and use advanced technology to pinpoint the problem. Patients are then in and out with same-day service. Let Family Dental Care protect your teeth so you can focus on what's important in life.
Visit our website at FamilyDentalCare.com for an office near you to request an appointment.
And it's the morning call. Good morning to you, and it's great to be here. I'll be here until 9 a.m. today, and this is another two-for week, so I'm here again tomorrow from 6 to 9 a.m. So great to be here with you today. Let's begin with traffic and weather. Have plenty to talk about. By the way, Rick Reif is going to be here at some point this morning. John Doherty's going to be here. And we round things out with the Whiting Robertsville Chamber of Commerce show. So lots to talk about today and lots to cover. But we'll begin with traffic. Traffic right now doesn't look too bad in Northwest Indiana. 8094 I-65, the toll road, all look pretty decent. Klein Avenue, still construction. I would avoid it. And moving across the line into Illinois, the Skyway is moving fine. 294 looks fine. However, the Bishop Ford has a backup now all the way to Dalton Avenue, so be careful going northbound. Southbound, it's no better. And then when you get onto the Dan Ryan, you see backups at about 43rd. So that's really traffic for this morning. Let's go to weather. Good morning, Lynette.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 77 degrees with highs of 96 and lows of 75. It's going to be mostly sunny and toasty conditions. Tomorrow on Thursday we'll be having highs of 91 and lows of 72 with intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm and hot and humid. Then Friday we'll be having highs of 91 and lows of 72. Should be partly sunny, hot, and very humid with a thunderstorm in the area.
And I'm not a weather forecaster and don't pretend to be, but I would say that this humidity and the heat just leads me to believe that we're going to have some pretty good-sized thunderstorms at some point later in the week. So be careful out there. 845-1100 is the number to call. Lots to talk about this morning. Obviously, I want to give an update. Tomorrow, I hope to have Attorney Ken Allen either call in or Zoom into the station to talk about his class action suit against NIPSCO. However, I did speak to him on Monday, and he is in New York right now on a case, so it is contingent upon him getting back in time, but we will see how that goes, and we'll just play it by ear for tomorrow. Again, 845-1100, obviously there's been a lot of coverage and a lot of conversation in Northwest Indiana about the situation that I brought up last week about the theft of the mail. And I can't sit here and tell you for sure that it's being investigated. I can tell you that there is a very competent, capable individual from the Postal Service who has been in touch with me, who is looking to make a referral to the OIG, which are the internal investigators that I said last week. There are a total of 300 internal investigators nationwide for 640,000 postal employees. Those are odds that largely tell you that you're looking at a situation that why a lot of people are doing what they're doing in the Postal Service. And by the way, it's not just happening here. I've gotten a number of articles. There was a huge investigation and charges brought for $23 million in theft of the mail in the Houston area. So I know it's going on outside of Northwest Indiana as well, but obviously what happened to me happened at the Whiting Post Office. And looking at the story that Fox News Chicago did about the thefts, looking on the Whiting Robertsdale group page for Facebook, it appears that there have been several hundred people now who've responded saying similar situations. I talked to a very nice guy. I'll just use his first name. His name's Brian. From the Postal Police, and very nice guy, and he is trying to make sure that an investigation moves forward. So I will give kudos to them. They've been very, very, very nice, and again, can't say enough. On the other hand, I did finally speak to somebody at the U.S. Attorney's Office yesterday, and to say disappointment would be an understatement. I called and asked to speak to someone again. The woman actually that answered the phone was quite delightful, and she said, "Well, wait a minute. Let me hook you up with the assistant U.S. attorney on staff." And I spoke to a woman who then proceeded to scream at me. She shrieked at me. I said, "Well, I'd like to ask some questions." And she said, "You don't get to ask me questions. I asked the questions. You don't get to ask anything. You need to shut up and listen." And that's how she spoke to me. That is the assistant U.S. attorney. I'm sorry, but she had as much empathy for a victim of a crime as a carjacker. None. She was rude. She was condescending. She finally hung up on me and she slammed the phone down. She didn't disconnect it. She slammed that phone down to make sure I knew she was an assistant U.S. attorney. Well, that's great. You're paid by our tax dollars, ma'am. You're paid by our tax dollars. And her rudeness needs to be noted. I did speak to another individual later in the day, their public affairs officer out of Fort Wayne, and he was relatively nice on the phone. Basically said that, they believe that there is an investigation. They can't do the investigation themselves. They don't do any investigations. And I pointed out that, well, gee, that's interesting because when you call the U.S. Attorney's Office, it says press 4 to if you're calling with a criminal complaint. And then it says that you'll be connected to the investigator on duty. And he didn't have any answer for that one. So it just, to me, it's unsettling to know that people that are paid by tax dollars can be that rude and that unprofessional. And the public affairs officer lamented in a follow-up email about how professional their office is. Didn't offer an apology, but nonetheless, she is extremely rude. Doesn't give me a lot of faith in the system these days, and it's unfortunate because I would have thought that she could have said, "Listen, we can't investigate this ourselves, contrary to the way the phone system works. But we'll work with other parties and we'll try and bring people to justice." Probably would have said, "That's great. Thank you so much. Have a nice day." But instead, she's shrieking at me, telling me that I'm basically bothering her, and she has no business being in any position in government. And that brings something else up. And I pointed out to the public affairs officer yesterday. I want to make sure that people in government understand something. In the state of Indiana, now I have not done this, but you can do this. In the state of Indiana, we are a one-party state. What that means is that one party only has to agree to being recorded. You can record a telephone call, you can record a conversation, and just like last week when I had the situation with the water department and the rude person who, basically is probably was hired there because their relative is an elected official. Just keep in mind, folks, that people can tape you. And if those tapes ever hit the light of day, if I had taped that call yesterday, that woman wouldn't be able to work at Walmart for what she said. No one would hire her. No one would tolerate that. The person at the water department the same way. So I want to make sure that people understand this day and age, customer service is totally different. You work at Strachan Van Til's, you want to be rude? Well, guess what? You work at Walmart, you want to be rude? Guess what? People can tape you. They can tape you over the phone. It's totally legal in the state of Indiana. Illinois is a two-party state. Indiana is a one-party state. Just keep that in mind. 845-1100. We've got plenty of phone calls. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yeah, the federales can be very testy, particularly if you come out of the DOJ or the FBI. I had a student use me as a reference. He applied for a job with the FBI. He didn't bother telling me he had done that. And so I get this call out of the blue, and the guy said he's with the FBI, and he was calling about one of my students, and this was right out of the blue. I did not expect this. So I started asking a few questions like, are you calling out of Gary or Chicago? Or, boy, did he get testy. I mean, his attitude was, you don't ask us questions, we do the asking. So this you got an extreme version of what I experienced, but they're uppity.
Walt, you call, and all they had to say, I mean, the public affairs officer was a pretty nice guy, and he said, look, we're not allowed to investigate. We have to wait until people bring us, the information, then we can press charges. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, but, I pointed out the issue with the phone system, and he said he was relatively new, and he'd look into that because he was not aware that the phone system basically invites people to leave messages about criminal activity. He wasn't aware of it, and that's fine. And he's relatively new. Nice guy. But this woman, the idea that, well, she's just being tenacious and she's being aggressive. Save that for court, okay? Don't go after victims. Don't be so rude. I mean, wow. I can't even imagine what her personal life is like. This is someone who is totally unglued and someone who shouldn't be in any kind of public office. None whatsoever. The consequences for it probably are zero. There's nobody's going to do anything, but she's probably not really well liked in the office either. And all I can say is most of the people I've talked at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Hammond were not very friendly. It's changed from back in the days when Gary Bell was there. I have to say I met Gary Bell several times. He was very pleasant, very nice. They were very welcoming. And listened to you and spoke to you in with great professionalism. This woman did none of the above. And it's disheartening because, once again, they are an arm of the federal government. They represent us. She does work for us. I somewhat dislike when people always say, people that, in government, you work for us. But maybe that's lost a little bit on the U.S. Attorney's Office. Maybe they need to be reminded that they do work for government, and they need to be empathetic, and they need to be understanding. And you don't need to, again, show the empathy of a carjacker. And that's what she did. So, but it is what it is. I get my revenge by talking about it on the radio. So there you go. Again, it's what's really bothersome, though, is the fact that I still can't get a firm answer out of anyone that this is actually being investigated. I'm told that it is being referred to the OIG for investigation, but then I find out that the OIG has 300 investigators nationwide out of a postal worker force of 640,000. So that doesn't give me that the odds are against that they're going to do anything. And that's what's really sad. People say, well, I also have been told that, this is somewhat of a victimless crime because I'll get reimbursed by my bank and my bank will get reimbursed by the bank that the checks were drawn on. And then that bank will get reimbursed by the FDIC. And that's all true. But that basically means that no one really cares. Oh, it's victimless. Well, no, it isn't, because your bank fees go up, your interest rates go down. Why? Because those banks are going to pass those costs on. When they have to pay additional insurance costs to the FDIC, they just pass those costs on to you and me. So it does have an impact on all of us. But again, it's sad. I wish I could say differently, but. It's just it's been an experience. I've probably gotten 24 phone calls in the last 24 hours from people who know me or know someone who knows me to tell me that they had the exact same thing happen. I mean, how many times do you have to be told that, look, I wrote a check to the U.S. Treasury and it was stolen from the Whiting Post Office? I mean, after a while you say, well, now it happened to 38 other people. Gee, I guess there's a pattern here. You look at the numbers of people that are commenting on the Fox Chicago story online. I mean, it's hundreds of people, and they're all saying this happened to me, or this happened to my neighbor, this happened to my brother, my sister, my mother, my father. And they're all saying it happened to the Whiting Post Office. So something's going on. It doesn't take Inspector Clouseau to figure this one out. But we'll see what happens. Hey, Walt, thanks so much for the call. 845-1100, we've got more callers. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm not calling to give you a hard time, but I'm a little taken aback, I guess, by your surprise that post office seems, let's just say, disinterested. The kind of the post office, I mean, I think that was one of the notorious entities that, I mean, unless you beat somebody to death with your mailbag, there's really nothing's ever going to happen to you. I mean, you're in for life. I have a relative that worked for the United States Postal Service for literally a handful of months, and it wasn't delivering mail, but it was, I guess you call it more of a support thing for the post office. And just could not handle the fact that people would come in and just go to sleep. They worked a second job, and they had a post office job literally to catch up on their sleep.
Well, I do remember in the Whiting Post Office, you used to be able to see the back area, and they put a wall up because you used to be able to see a guy sleeping, and that was back in the 70s. So they've been sleeping in the post office for a long time. But at the same time, there have been a lot of good postal employees. I mean, I always enjoy visiting with.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, Dave Warple's one of them. He tells great stories about being out there in the rain and the cold and the snow. And I mean, there was a time and a place where people were dedicated working for the Postal Service. They took pride. I've written about this in my local column up in Whiting, Robertsdale, and North Hammond. That when I was a kid, people like Steve Kryniak, who delivered the mail for years, and Alex and others, they wore their uniform. They had great pride in it. Mr. Ivanich, he used to wear his uniform, and the guy was as proud of being in the Postal Service as anybody would be in the military. I mean, they took great pride in what they did and making sure that they delivered the mail. You don't see that pride anymore. They look like that. Most of the people that are delivering the mail, their shirt tails are hanging out. Their clothes are dirty. They look like they crawled out of the back of a van, and maybe that's where they're living. I don't know. They sure don't look the part, do they?
To the large degree, no. I mean, we're lucky that when we get, I guess what we'll call our regular mail delivery guy, it's pretty much a good schedule. But if he's on vacation or if he needs to cover for somebody else, there were times this summer, it's not an exaggeration, where we might go 3 or 4 days without getting any mail at all. So I don't think we really missed anything. Much of our stuff is electronic as far as the bills are concerned, and they're certainly not going to steal bills. I mean, they want the envelopes with the checks. I don't mean to laugh, but they're at least smart enough not to steal the bills. They're looking for the gift cards and the birthday cards, things like that are going out. That's, we've seen that. At Christmas time, I've seen some of our Christmas cards that were just more corporate ones, coming in, and they were split open. I mean, somebody took a peek, see what was in there. I don't mean to laugh about it, but I mean, it's just, in this day and age, Tom, it's just, you can't really trust anybody anymore. I hate to say that, but on the same token, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form defending the mail postal service, but a lot of these people, I wouldn't take their job for all the tea and shine of some of the neighborhoods they have to go in. Heck, they get shot and killed, robbed. I mean, they're going into some of the worst neighborhoods, and they can't carry a gun or really do much. So they're not going to probably, let's just put it this way, they're not going to attract the creme de la creme as far as people is concerned. And it's funny when you mentioned, postman. I remember growing up on the east side, Mr. Young was our mailman. And it was just, I mean, from forever, it was always Mr. Young, and that mail would get delivered at the same time every single day. And you're right, and when I think back about it, yeah, he was. He wore the uniform, and he would stop to talk to people. He knew people in the neighborhood, and now everybody's just, the world has changed. I know I sound like an old man, but the world has changed, Tom. It's just not, I don't think we're going back. I think we're going further down the sinkhole in a lot just right. I wanted, not to give you a hard time, but I am not, I mean, if there's one entity in this country that really doesn't care at all, I'd have to say it's the United States Postal Service.
You know what? I agree with you.
Notorious just for going in.
I agree with you on that.
When you go into the post office, yeah, that's the way it is. And when they finally fold the Postal Service, all those thieves will just be out on the street trying to steal in other ways, to be honest with you. That's going to be the end result. Because pretty soon they won't need the Postal Service. I mean, it's about the only thing we get now are the Menards flyers and some flyers, their food flyers on Wednesday, and most of our stuff is all electronic. It's auto-debited, and it's an email saying, hey, your bill is ready. I sign in, I pay the bill, and that's over with it. We don't even get the bills delivered to us anymore. So,
well, by the way,
they're pretty much.
By the way, you mentioned Menards. You mentioned Menards, and I still find it interesting that Menards still mails all of their rebates. Everybody else sends it electronically. Menards mails it. But the reason why they mail it, if you go back to a class action suit against Menards 2 years ago by several attorney generals, they admitted that part of the reason why they basically mail their rebates is because there's less possibility that they'll get used. So they've got an angle too. So a lot of them get stolen. I know that.
For sure. Yeah.
So, hey, thanks so much for the call.
I wish you good luck, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay. Just getting through the storm and getting my insurance claim together. I have to ask, I'm surprised that you find it amazing that you had a check scam at the USPS. It's been going on in Munster for 15 years. I don't know anyone that pays any bill without an ACH or some electronic device, because we know this. And the other portion of this is they're part of the U.S. government, but they're kind of not. I don't understand that. Stamps are up to, over 80 cents? Why are they going down? Because they're terrible.
I agree with you. The service is not good at all. There are days we don't get mail for several days, and we find out that our regular mail carrier is off, so they just don't bother. There are other times where you get mail and, it looks like somebody dropped it on the street and drove over it. There is, you get notices on mail. It'll say, do you know this person? It's like, do I know this person? It's made out to me. And they'll write right on there, do you know this person? Well, it's made out to me. I mean, that's me. And it'll be like, oh, well, it said T. Dabertin. Well, T. Dabertin would stand for Tom, right? I mean, I had a situation, the craziest one that I've had this spring was I was cutting my lawn. I'm out on the parkway. I'm one of those people that still cuts their own lawn. I know a lot of people use lawn services, but I still cut my own lawn. I just enjoy doing it. I'm cutting the grass, and here comes a fill-in mail carrier. And I said, oh, I'll take that. Nope. I said, what do you mean, nope? She goes, nope. I got put in your mailbox. I don't know who you are. I said, well, I live here. And she goes, well, I have to put in the mailbox. I said, that's fine, but the dogs are out. Well, then I'm not delivering your mail. I said, wait a minute. You just said you're not delivering my mail. So I go stand in the yard, put the dogs in, and I said, okay, do you want to give me the mail? Nope. And she still walked up and stuck it in the mail slot and then looked at me and said, and walked away. I mean, it's just, I get it. The last caller is right. Some of the people that they hire, they're not hiring the best. I've heard about the problem in Munster, and I'm sorry to hear that because...
Wait, Tom, I'm
yes.
sorry. It's been going on a long time in Munster. I used to have a regular mail lady. I don't anymore. The people are generally nice, and they are worked to death. They work a lot of hours. I'm not saying that should equal rudeness for your lady, but what I'm saying is to you, stop sending bills through the mail.
Oh, trust me, I learned that. I learned that lesson. I'm sending everything electronically, absolutely. And if I have to send a check, if I have to send a check, I'm going to do it through a cashier's check from the bank. I'm never sending another check through the mail. I totally learned my lesson on that. But I'm just curious about the situation with Munster because the postal inspector police, again, they seem like nice guys, but they also claim that they have, and ladies, but they claim that there's limitation if they believe it's an internal matter, that it has to go to the OIG, and there's only 300 investigators there. So they say that they're hamstrung. But, it's just like the situation with Whiting, okay? The woman who shrieked at me from the U.S. Attorney's Office says, there's an investigation going on. Really? Who has told me there's an investigation? Because I have emails from the postal inspector that says that they're trying to get an investigation going. It says we're attempting to get an investigation by the OIG. It doesn't say there is an investigation. And I saw all those posts about Munster, and you said 15 years and people have been complaining, and I've seen the comments online and nothing has happened. So, it's great the U.S. Attorney's Office tells me they're working on, their public affairs officer, how fraud is so important. Well, hey, you know what? Take the low-hanging fruit then. There's an investigation for Munster because it's been going on for 15 years and no one's done anything.
Well, okay, I'm going to wrap it up very quickly. My mom passed away 5 years ago, and the day of her funeral, I was like, oh, my God, I don't have my tags yet from the BMV, who are always prompt. And, 6 months later, oh, we just received your check. I don't deal with the post office anymore. I used to send postcards from vacations, this and that, buy special stamps. I enjoyed all of that. But you when they go down, I don't care. I just don't. And again, there are some good postal carriers out there, but you can't use the post office anymore. You just can't.
No,
and again,
you can't trust
after
them.
9 days without power, I had to pay my bills. I went to one of my friends' homes who had Wi-Fi because I pay my bills off my iPad, but I'm not going to a library or something. There's a lot going on in our world, right? I mean, you can't just send your bill off with a stamp on it.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct, and you have to be careful even when you're online. You did the right thing by not using a public source. You used a private source of a friend. But it's just sad. It's just sad that there's so much fraud and there's so much dishonesty, and then, you hear these comments that I've heard the last few days. Well, it's somewhat of a victimless crime because you're going to get reimbursed. How does that make that right? Okay. That's like you stealing my car, but then you return it, so I'm not out anything. I mean, it's still a crime, right? I mean, I don't understand how the system works these days, and it's just sad that we've gotten to that point that it's almost acceptable. Well, you didn't really lose anything, so we're not really going to worry about this one. Hey, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. 845.
Wait, one more point.
Yes. Okay.
Wait.
We have to go to a break. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sold. How would that be? When your mom was alive or my mom, all the things, they can't handle this. Who's navigating the current landscape for them?
It's a great question. It's a great question, and that's why you hear about so many senior citizens being victimized. Great point. Thanks for the call. 845-1100, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to The Morning Call on WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM, of course, the TuneIn app and YouTube Live. We'll be right back.
Indiana wants me.
You're a Hoosier serving in the military or living overseas? Indiana wants every eligible Hoosier to participate in our elections. Military and overseas voters can register and vote securely from anywhere in the world. Voting assistance for service members, families, and eligible Hoosiers is available now. Visit IndianaWantsYou.com or contact your county election office. And remember, Indiana wants you. Message sponsored by your Indiana Secretary of State.
Indiana wants me.
Hoosier fans, your defending national championship Indiana football team kicks off the 2026 season on Saturday, September 5th. Join head coach Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers at Merchant Bank Field at Memorial Stadium as they take on the North Texas Mean Green, with kickoff at the Rock at 12 p.m. Tickets are sold out throughout the 2026 season, though you can visit IUHoosiers.com and purchase yours today through SeatGeek, the official fan-to-fan marketplace for IU Athletics. Cheer on your Hoosiers to victory all season long.
Have you been wanting to learn all about real estate but don't know where to go? Well, now you do. Head over to Naira.Realtor to listen to our brand new podcast, Key to the Region. You can also find it on Apple, Spotify, and on WJOB. Enjoy our brand new podcast, everyone.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic Church, located at 8103 Columbia Avenue in Munster, celebrates Divine Liturgy every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We are Eastern Rite Catholics in union with the Pope, the Bishop of Rome. All Catholics who celebrate Divine Liturgy or Mass with us fulfill their Holy Day and Sunday obligations as they do in their own churches. Join us in person this coming Sunday to find out the beauty of a Byzantine Catholic Divine Liturgy at St. Nicholas Church.
All right, we're back again. 845-1100. The last caller had some really great points. Several callers have, but especially the last one, which is senior citizens being taken advantage of. She said, "What if my mom was still alive, or your mom was still alive, meaning mine?" And she has a very good point. There are a lot of scammers out there, and one of the things that I've noticed lately is the number of scams that are coming around due to the recent storms. I've had at least 3 or 4 contacts now. One left at my door, one through the mail, and 1 or 2 through email, saying, did I want my roof replaced given the recent storms? Well, I didn't have any damage to my roof. Why are you sending me this? And it says, we know you've had damage to your roof. We've inspected your roof. My roof is a slate roof, okay? The one thing that'll never fall down on my house, Lynette, is my roof. The rest of the house could fall down, but the roof is a slate roof. It's not going anywhere. That slate's going to last 1,000 years. 845-1100, we've got a bunch of callers. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm great now that August is over. That was a very stressful month for me.
It was a stressful month for everyone.
Stress. Yes, it was, but I'm just praying that September's better, and usually it is. But, you know, a lot of people don't talk about this, but I know you really got worked up about this, and I would too. And talk about the stress and anxiety this has caused you and what other people go through. You know, it may sound like something small or, you know, you're able to handle this, but what did it do to you mentally?
You know, it's a good point. It really, it kind of bothers me because the one caller said, Tom, I'm surprised that you had that much faith and confidence in the Postal Service. I still thought the Postal Service was an entity that we could trust, and I found out otherwise. And then, you know, the bank couldn't have been nicer. I just can't say enough of how nice they were about these losses, and they were extremely nice. Vanessa, in particular, at Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, just a great customer service ethic. Jesse Hunt and others, they did a great job in handling this. But then when you start calling around and you feel like, wait a minute, this happened to me, and then you find out it's happening to others. And I'm one of those people that lives my life with the idea that I'm there to help others. So I felt, well, okay, I have a duty and responsibility to relay this to authorities, and just hit one wall after the next. You know, you call the postal police and they're like, well, we don't handle this. This has to be an internal matter. You call the internal people and they're telling you, well, we only have 300 investigators for 640,000 employees. What do you expect? You call the U.S. Attorney's Office, you get shrieked at and screamed at. You call the local police were great, but they point out their frustration that they're not getting a response out of the Postal Service, and it's a federal crime, so they can't handle it. You call the Postal Service, and they tell you, well, maybe you need to contact the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I said, no, that's not going to work. So it's just frustrating because, again, I have this, maybe I'm too idealistic. Maybe I have this idea that, you know, we live in this great country. It's this wonderful, wonderful country to live in, the greatest country on earth, and everything is going to work out well when it comes to these types of situations. And you find out, well, we might live in the greatest country, but boy, there are a lot of faults and problems, and things don't get addressed the way they're supposed to.
Well, yeah, and plus, you know, even I don't mail anything, and I thought, well, because when I pay something online or go somewhere and pay something with my ATM, sometimes I'm charged twice or three times, so I have to call them and straighten that up, and it's frustrating. This is every month. So I just don't do business with that place anymore. But I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll start mailing stuff. But since you brought this up, well, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll start paying cash for everything like the old days. It's very frustrating, and it does happen. And it's going to get worse. I mean, it's really horrible. It is really. And there's people, like I live, you know, I know where my money's going, every dollar. A lot of people do that. But it's frustrating when you know, okay, I'm paying this all month, and then here something comes, and it's aggravating us. You would not believe what you've been through it. Something like that. Someone can do that, especially a post office. You would never think in my world that it would ever happen at a post office.
Well, you know what?
It's
The worst thing, the caller just before the break where she said, Tom, don't ever pay anything by check again. Pay it all electronically. And I agree with her. But the amount of payments that I already make electronically, you know, I told Lynette, I said, I got here early to the station. Usually she and I pull up about the same time. I stepped on the gas and drove a little fast to get here because I realized on the way here that, oh my gosh, there's yet another payment that I have to transfer from the account that I had that's now been closed to the new account. So I wanted to get here fast enough so I could open up my laptop and log in and change the account number on that account, because you go through so many trials and tribulations in changing. When you change a bank account nowadays, you have to let all of these places know that you've changed your account, and wow, it takes some time.
Right, and another thing that's amazing is that these people that work at this mail post office, they know themselves how many employees are there. They know this is going on, and they don't speak up themselves. I mean, why don't they? Is this like a few of them are doing this, scamming people? But why wouldn't you say something? This is the post office.
Well, so I have a theory.
I don't understand that.
I have a theory that it may not be in the Whiting post office. It might be the transportation people that pick up the mail and move it from there. it ends up that the Postal Service contracts to a common carrier to move that mail. So we all have the idea that the mail is secure, but it isn't because it's being carried by some trucking company. And I think that may be where it's happening. And that might explain why the one caller complained about 15 years of problems in Munster as well. That might be where the problem is. But nonetheless, look, somebody knows this is going on. You're right. It's not, we're not talking about some super sleuth or a super criminal that nobody can figure out. This is probably somebody who just says, oh yeah, it looks like there's checks in there. I'll sell this off to somebody and see if they can make a buck. I don't think they're the smartest criminals on earth, but again, nonetheless, it's very upsetting and it's very undermining to my beliefs in the system. That's for sure. So, thank you.
What's worse than that, and what's really bad is that from you, which I know, okay, you're Tom Dabertin, and you know a lot of people, and you got more clout than any of us, and you're speaking for us, okay? But how far does this go down the line before you find the answer, before something's done?
Well,
I mean, you're not at the end of the road to where, oh my God.
Well, you hope
you
you hope to get that response. And again, I got a response yesterday from a crazy person who works for the U.S. Attorney's Office who's just screaming. And again, we all have this idealistic view that, boy, those people are professional. They're going to help you. And instead of saying, we're trying our best, we're going to refer this, anything else, it's like, this lady's screaming at me like I'm some 6-year-old. And hopefully she doesn't have a 6-year-old and she screams like that at her 6-year-old either. But they're not very nice people over there, and they need to understand that they have some level of professionalism. I'll tell you what.
They work for us, huh?
Yeah, well, I do a lot of training. I've done a lot of training over the years, including on customer service. And if Adam Mildred would like for me to volunteer my services, I'd be more than happy to go in and train the Hammond office on how to show some professionalism and how to communicate and show proper customer service, because they didn't show any. But hey, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 845-1100.
That's old.
845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Tom. It's a typical government-run entity. No leadership, no accountability, and it runs right down the line. And I just had a good customer of mine retire after 30 years at the Postal Service. And she said when she started, you had to know somebody. That's how many people wanted to work there. And she says, in the end, they'll hire anybody. She said, and most people last about 2 weeks. And one of her favorite stories she told me was they had hired a guy, and he was about 3 weeks into the job, and he just didn't want to do it. So he left the truck on the side of the road with the keys in it, and he called a friend to come and get him.
Wow. Again, it's not like the 1960s and 70s where you saw the postal carrier and they wore their uniforms and they were proud of what they did, and they were kind of looked up to in the community. In fact, I mean, it's like, oh, Bob, he's a postal carrier. Oh, really? It was a job of pride. Now you look at these people, and again, I saw one guy the other day. I'm not kidding you. He was delivering mail, and I get it. Maybe he stopped to eat, but I mean, he had dirt all over the front of his shirt, and it was hanging out, and it's like, oh, my God. I mean, you could dress a little bit better, maybe go back to the post office and change your clothes or something. If it was an accident, I get it. But it just looked like he had coffee stains down the whole front, and he's walking down the street, and I'm like, is this a street person or is this the Postal Service? I'm not sure which one it is.
She says that a lot of people retired or quit when they started handling all the Amazon packages because they weren't equipped to handle that kind of volume. And she said, I'd go out and they'd want me to deliver 200-300 packages in addition to my regular mail. And she said, I just couldn't, physically I couldn't do it. A lot of those packages were heavy. She said a lot of people quit or retired when that happened. And now, Amazon's got their own truck, so they lost all that business anyway.
Right.
But now you're stuck with a lot of people that aren't qualified to do the job. But I got to say, I've had a good experience with most of the postal employees, just like anything else. I mean, you're going to have a goofball one or two places. But for the most part, I go to a post office. Cherville's got great people. I go to Dyer. And they're hearing this stuff, the same complaints from everybody, and they can't do anything. It's the leadership.
You know what?
It's a lack of leadership and accountability.
What I've always found is the people that work at the counter usually are the nicest people in the Postal Service. I can remember a guy named Choo Choo, that was his nickname. He was a train fanatic, and he used to work at the counter. He was a nice guy. Brenda was terrific for years and years at the Whiting Post Office. There's a young woman now that works at the counter, very, very polite, very nice. But looking for positive examples of good service in the Postal Service these days is a little trying. Although I will say, this one inspector, Brian, hasn't been anybody nicer and more empathetic and understanding than he has been. So I want to give a shout out to him, because he, I don't want to use his last name since he is a law enforcement officer, but a very nice guy. So there are exceptions, but you just wonder where they're getting the rest of the 640,000 people from.
Well, but Tom, like you said, you pay things electronically, but look what just happened, okay? We went a week without electricity and no internet and no cell phone. What do you do?
Well, like
you don't
the one
realize
woman,
until they turn the internet off.
Well, like the one woman said, you have to find somewhere else to use the internet, and it can't be a public location because you want to make sure that nobody's hacking into your computer. So, you're right. You all of a sudden you drop back down, several decades. When technology fails, it's a huge failure these days, and we feel it. So, you're right about that. Again, just all the problems that we've had in Northwest Indiana with the power outages and no internet. I had it myself. I never lost power, but I lost the internet. So I was actually fortunate because Calumet College of St. Joseph was allowing people to come in and use the internet there. And they have a secure system. They have a Starlink system. It was great. And I really appreciated the opportunity to use their system. And I think there were some people from Heartland Sports Network that were doing it as well. And, I mean, it was one of the few secure locations that you could find in Northwest Indiana during the aftermath of that storm. But how does everybody else pay their bills when the bills are due? Your phone... Your cell phone company doesn't care that you had a storm. They want their money, right? So you got to pay them, and you've got to pay everything else. And if you have a mortgage or you have anything else that's due that you have to pay online, it is a challenge, no doubt about it. When the power goes out, things change. And I think it was a lesson for this station, because for the longest time, I think the focus has been on TuneIn and on YouTube Live. But you know what? That great big tower behind this building sends out that signal, and it almost never, ever goes down. And in the height of the aftermath of that storm, people didn't have internet. They didn't have, their telephones weren't working. They didn't have power, but they could listen to us on a transistor radio or on their car radio. And that made the difference for a lot of people. Hey, thanks so much
Tom,
for the call.
Thanks. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, when you were talking about the Postal Service with bad uniforms and T-shirts and coffee stains and all that kind of stuff, I thought you were talking about the Tuesday morning host crew at WJOB.
Mad Mac, you always find some way to skewer somebody, but nonetheless, how are you?
What? Well, I was just, I've never seen a collection of dirty T-shirts like that in my life.
Oh, come on.
They pop up every Tuesday.
A
size 5XL to 12XL.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair, Mad Mac. I mean, again, my criticism is the Postal Service. Well, the Postal Service is supposed to have a uniform. They don't have uniforms. Their uniforms, seriously, it looks like they went over here to the Goodwill store and basically or the Village and bought those shirts secondhand. I mean, they're faded, they're run down, they're falling apart, and this is how you're delivering the mail? Really? I mean, take a little pride in yourself. I mean, look, you've got a job, you've got a career. Take some pride. Take some pride in the way you look. If you can't take pride in the way you look, you're probably not going to take pride in your position either. But that's just my opinion.
Well, what can you do, right? What can you? It's like getting on a plane these days. You think I swear to God, you think you're at a Greyhound station in the middle of Atlanta at 3 a.m. when the meth convention just let out. It's like, holy moly.
And by the way, there are some good airline employees, but there are a lot of marginal ones, and they don't help themselves by being rude and a little arrogant these days. I agree. Airline travel used to be something that you were kind of proud of doing. You had to dress up for it. They got rid of the dress code years ago. Now you see people, they show up and they're in filthy clothes and pajama bottoms, and they sit there barefoot, and then they stick their foot up next to the person sitting next to them. Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. And you're right. It's like a flying Greyhound bus.
Hey, now, do we need to, because you sounded a little boomerish today, do we need to do a GoFundMe for you? Is the pool temperature below 80, or
no?
What do we need to do to help out? We need to bring over some.
The pool temperature is doing great. It's at 85. It'll be 86 with the sunshine today, and I'll be in it later today. No, I'm not depressed. I'm not downtrodden by this. I'm just disappointed, but I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to this weekend because Rock and Rail is going to be going on in Griffith, and then there's also the Labor Day concert in Whiting Lakefront Park on Sunday night. That's the concert, plays patriotic music, and then topped off by fireworks. So I look forward to those events this weekend.
That's the symphony, right?
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it, to both the symphony and Rock and Rail.
Yeah, your symphony's rather good. I got to tell you, man.
It's very good. It's very, very good, and it'll be a patriotic theme.
I went to the show
again.
last year. It was really good. I really liked it.
Well,
they did a fantastic job.
Well, I will be out there, and look for me. We're always there. We go every year, and it's a highlight of my year. I really enjoy it. So great time there, and of course, great time at Rock and Rail. And looking forward to talking to Rick Reifa this morning about the Rock and Rail Fest. So some great events this weekend.
4 days of great music. You can't beat it, brother.
No, you can't. You really can't. This is a great weekend for music. Hey, thanks so much for the call. 845-1100. We've got some more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Hey, now you're talking about all the thefts of Postal Service. It was on news that up in Washington they're cracking down on the truck driving schools, and I just saw the article this morning. I was up early that 30 trucks in Iowa or Ohio, big orange stickers, shut them down for being. They can't speak English. They're illegals driving these trucks. Now, here's the thing I want to say. Many years ago in Illinois, you remember somebody was getting paid off to get people their Illinois licenses. Remember that deal? I forget who it was or what it was. But the thing is they're cracking down on the truck driving schools. No. Go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, because our academy, to get your permit, to get a CDL, you have got to speak English. You have got to understand English. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles here in Northwest Indiana, because I had talked to a lady about it at the Bureau. She says, yeah, we got questions we ask them. If they can't answer them, they're not getting a permit. So it's really, I don't know how these driving schools are giving these guys illegal CDLs, because it's got to be the state that the schools are in. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles are not enforcing the law that they have to speak and read English and be a citizen of the United States. Because our academy, they had one student that could barely even speak English. They wanted me to put an earpiece in my ear and put some app on my phone so that guy, I could understand him, he could understand me. And I told my boss, I'm not teaching that guy. If he can't understand.
So let me just jump in.
If he can't understand.
Mike, let me just jump.
If he can't understand, yeah.
Let me just jump in
and
and say, because we've got other callers waiting. You're talking about the press conference. It was actually held in Detroit. And my understanding is that our local U.S. attorney participated in that press conference. It was headed by Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, and others. It is pretty frightening when you heard some of the accounts, and what you're describing is exactly what they talked about, that there were people that were being pushed through these truck driving schools that didn't speak English at all, and that they were using apps to translate for these individuals. And so it is pretty frightening, because that app doesn't help when they can't read street signs and they don't understand emergency road closures.
But each state, like the state of Indiana, Hammond, Indiana, I talked to the lady, okay? She says, we've got a sheet. When you come in to apply for a permit for a CDL, you've got to read these questions to me, and you got to answer questions I ask you. If you can't answer, you're not, she says, just go. We're not going to give you a permit. It's not the schools, it's the state Bureau of Motor Vehicles that are letting them slip through.
Well, not in all cases, according to the press. No, because according to the press conference, certain states actually allow those driving schools to certify the driver. And the states, some states, not Indiana, but some states are actually issuing the CDLs based on the recommendation of the school and not testing them themselves. And that was covered in the press conference.
I've seen so many drivers in my life that can't speak English or understand anything, and they're behind a 80,000-pound rig. That you've seen the accidents that they've had, that people that they don't know how to drive a truck has killed families.
Sure.
I'm so glad that they need to get these idiots that behind these 80,000-pound trucks that can't speak and read and understand signs, because you've got your families, all of our listeners' families out there, and even my families. I don't want those people behind one of them rigs, because I don't want them to hurt other families.
You know what's a little frightening? What's frightening is to hear those words from someone who spent that many years training others to drive a truck. It's a little frightening. And again, not saying that you did anything wrong, because you've always said that you only trained people that were qualified. But the fact that a person who spent that many years training truck drivers, to say that he's concerned about the people driving trucks, that's a little frightening. Hey, Mike, we've got to go to a break, and I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Call on WJOB 1230M, 104.7 FM. We'll be right back after these commercial announcements.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Diedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strachan Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Free summer music is still rocking at Fox Point. Our Wednesday night concert series brings Trippin' Billies, the 1985, Elton Jeff and the Honky Cats, Mike and Joe, and Dick Diamond and the Dusters. Friday Night Lights brings you Gold Dust Dreams and One of These Nights on August 21st, and Mexico and El Corazon on September 4th. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094, and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Get ready for Wings Rock fun and prizes at Wing and Roll. Friday, September 25th from 5 to 9 at Bulldog Park Pavilion in Crown Point. Sample wings from Northwest Indiana's top chefs. Vote for the People's Choice. Enjoy live music from Backstory NWI and win incredible prizes. Tickets are $75 with tables of 8 for $575. Every dollar helps support Mental Health America of Northwest Indiana. Get your tickets now at mha.rallyup.com/WR 2026.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
All right, we're back, and we've got callers waiting, so let's go right to the callers. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, how are you, Ron?
Well, I'm doing pretty good considering the last few days I had an opportunity to make some adjustments in terms of business, in terms of other things, and I thought I'd chime in on the situation with talking about the postal system.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. Gary, Indiana, they had a postal system, the headquarters, I guess, on Martin Luther King's Drive in Gary. And right now, when I mail something, in other words, if I mail something in this city, why does it have to go to over there in Illinois and then come back? And like I had the same thing like it was going to Arkansas. You would think they would take it from here and go south to Arkansas. It goes over in Illinois and then it goes down. It takes 8 or 10 days for a letter. It used to be 3 days.
Yeah.
And so my niece who works in Arkansas say the post office general in Washington, his name was DeJong. You probably know
DeJong, yes, yes. DeJong.
Said that guy was terrible, and she works in the postal, and I would not ever give her a name because she'd probably she said, it's terrible. That guy is terrible. This mail is terrible. They getting to people and stuff like that.
It doesn't make it makes no sense. It makes no sense, and I agree with you. If I mail a birthday card to somebody in Whiting, and I take it to the Whiting post office, it goes from Whiting, and then it goes to that place, like I think it's Carroll Stream, Illinois, and then it goes somewhere else, and then it comes back, and it takes longer. I mean, I could strap it to my dog and have my dog walk there, and my dog could deliver it in an hour. I mean, it's like I'll just walk down the street and hand it to the person now because it takes so long for something to get within the city of Whiting, and Whiting's only 1 square mile. Gary's a lot bigger than Whiting, and you said it's taking 7 and 8 days. That's just pathetic. And then they wonder why people are upset about the Postal Service.
Absolutely. So it's a terrible thing. But like I said, it's I see, and then so my niece who works at the post office in Arkansas, she said that this guy, what's his name,
Dion. Yeah, I'm trying to think. You know what? I'll think of it. He again, anyway, yeah, just horrible. I've heard nothing but bad things. He was the one, Ron, where the employee wanted to take off, move their lunch to 11 a.m. because they had to work on Sundays, and they wanted to take off an hour so they could go to church on Sundays. And the Postal Service, the Postmaster General, refused to allow them to do that. And it went to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's a landmark case on religious rights. And, I mean, it's like, who the heck, this guy has been a total disaster. You're right about that.
Now, let me, another subject matter here. The hospitals. I've just heard the
DeJoy. His name is DeJoy. DeJoy is the postmaster. Was the Postmaster General. That's who it was.
DeJoy, yeah. And they told me that the hospitals right now, Hammond don't have a hospital, do they now?
No, they don't.
Okay. And right now, eventually, they're going to really let's put it, the Methodist Hospital in Gary and Maryville. Why is it that some of the doctors and don't come to the North Lake Methodist Hospital, but they say we won't come there? But if you ought to be a doctor and you have to be my doctor and I want to be in North Lake, so sometimes our people in my community say, well, I want to go to South Lake Methodist Hospital because my doctor won't come here. I prefer staying here because if we go out there all the time, we won't have one in North Lake Hospital. And you know what happened in Methodist Hospital during time when they put South Lake, then they were doing so much in terms of all equipment. They taking it out of the North Lake Hospital and they put it in the equipment in the hospital so the doctors wouldn't come.
Well, you know what, Ron?
Richard Hatchman,
Ron, we've got to move on because we got a bunch of callers, but I'll just say this. Customer service has been totally lost on the medical profession. It used to be that being a doctor, you were there to save lives and to help people, and you were inconvenienced so that your patients weren't inconvenienced. Nowadays, it's where is the doctor, where does the doctor want to be? You're absolutely right. There's no commitment to customer service. The commitment is, we want to be in South Lake because it's closer to our homes than being at North Lake. You're absolutely right. It just comes down to poor customer service. Absolutely. Hey, we've got to move on, though. We got a bunch of callers. Thanks for the call. 845-1100, and you're on the air.
Why, good morning, Tom. You're talking about the Postal Service. There was one last guy that dressed to the T. Is a great mailman. It was in Hammond, none other than the Hall of Famer, Fred Hammond. That guy's shoes were always polished, black socks, pristine uniform, always tailored, nice iron tops. I said, Fred, why do you still wear that hat? He goes, you know what? I represent the United States Postal Service. So I say this, the best time that we had the best dressed postal workers when they had the old patch, it was a Pony Express. After that, it's been nothing but downhill. And not only that, I had ordered a package come to me in Arizona, and we had these postal boxes, so we got to walk down to get our mail. And I can't tell you how many times that mail carrier has put my mail in the wrong box. I found somebody's medication there. I think it's just that lackadaisical, and I don't think nobody puts any kind of it's no pride in what they do, and it's just a terrible representation.
No pride, Steve, whatsoever. And I don't. Do you remember Alex Svitko that used to live around the corner from you? He lived on 121st and Lake Avenue. I mean, there was a guy. He was another one. He took pride in that uniform. He was proud of the fact that he was a mail carrier. That pride is gone these days. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. To them, it's just a job, and they don't care how they look. They don't care if they show up to work. It's really sad. It just is.
And you think they'd have some kind of I know, like on the fire department, we had uniform inspections. The chief would come around with the battalion chief of that district, and he would make sure that you had the proper uniforms and that you look sharp. And I tell you what, I don't know why, and a lot of it, like you said, it reflects back on leadership. If their workers are on the postal workers are on the street looking like a bunch of bums, can you imagine what they look like behind that office?
Well, you know what? Here's a text.
Thing.
Here's a text that makes a lot of sense, and it's a great question, Steve. Listen to this one. My question about the Postal Service is, how is it that they have less work to do to the tune of 40 to 50% less because of emails and electronic transfers, yet they still have just as many people working there, and that they say that they're in the negative, and that's why they have to keep on raising postal prices. Maybe they need to get rid of a few of those people. He's absolutely right. I mean, it's just crazy. The Postal Service is just a disaster. And they tell you that they're still delivering 6 days a week, but we're lucky in Whiting, at least on my street, if we get mail 3 days a week. They don't deliver every day anymore. It's a total disaster. And when they do deliver, it's garbage.
And you could sit at home and say, it's 2 o'clock. The mailman or the postal carrier is going to be. Now it's like, willy-nilly. Well, we'll get there when we can, and you're lucky if you get your own mail. And it's like there's no excuse for that. And not only that, but in our postal box, we have all the names. All you have to do is drop down the little gate, and everything is right there in that little box area. It's almost impossible not to make mistakes. But however, sometimes it's like, I think I'm just going to purposely do this to get them upset or mad.
You know, Steve, again, it's just the Postal Service has just gone downhill, and it's unfortunate. And again, the person that just texted me, Mark from Hobart, is absolutely right. They've lost 50% of the mail volume, yet they still have the same number of people. How is that? Just crazy. Hey, great hearing from you this morning, Steve.
Well,
Thanks so much. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. My buddy steelworker Ron,
Yes.
and this is a compliment. I think he's a closet Republican.
Oh, I don't know
Now,
if you want to go that far, but you know what? Right, look, Ron's right. Why is it that if he mails something within the city of Gary, it takes 7 and 8 days to get delivered? And his comments about the loss of commitment and customer service in medicine is absolutely true. You don't see that. You don't see that commitment that you used to see. You know, like he said, they move you, they make you drive. You have to drive to them. They don't make things convenient for you anymore. You know, times have just changed. We're a meaner society. We tolerate subpar work. So the lady that the attorney that I had the exchange with at the U.S. Attorney's Office should probably get a promotion. You know, I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, customer service is out the window.
Okay, listen to what Ron has been saying. Ron has been saying, why is there so many Illinois license plates in Gary? Now, that's a cry for help.
Okay.
Ron also says, why many baby mamas, no baby daddies? Now, don't shoot the messenger. This is what he's saying.
Right.
That's a closet Republican.
Now,
and again, we can blame one man. We could blame one man for all this. So when you go to vote this November, the one man was named Lyndon Baines Johnson, the Great Society program.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a stretch, though, to say that Ron's a closet Republican because he points out the truth on some things. I don't know about that.
Businessman. He's a capitalist. He's a capitalist.
He's a capitalist. He
said,
believes in business. Right?
I can't give watermelons away for free. I can't make any money. That's a capitalist. That's a Republican. Now, we had our illustrious congressman, I call him, a vote for communism. He wanted to vote for socialism, and he didn't vote for that bill to turn socialism down. So he
hold on. You know what? Hold on, MX. I got to say that the resolution basically was non-binding. It didn't have a lot of value. It was basically trumped up by the Republicans. I don't know that in this case I'm going to make a lot. I'm going to make a lot of issue about that one.
This is the guy that doesn't stand for a kid with cancer, Tom.
I agree there.
Come on.
Look,
isn't that enough now?
Look, I agree. Wait a minute. I agree with the criticisms on Frank Mervan for a lot of things. On him not voting for this resolution.
He's never coming on your show, Tom.
Well, he's never coming on my show. I agree with that. But
Tom,
look,
I'm going to take you. He's never coming on your show. Okay, so just let me finish.
All right, go on.
You've been talking over the top of me. You're going to get a cartoon. You keep it up.
Go ahead.
Chicago is currently about 1,000 police officers short.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we talked about, and I was going off on you, I said, Tom, I'm older than you. Please don't ride your bicycle in Chicago. And you said people were testing the windows. Remember that deal?
Yes.
Well, the defund police has started in Chicago quietly. 1,000 police officers short. When you call the police department, good luck in Chicago. Now, we have talked about you seen them testing the windows and that. So we're right here, and it's going to get worse. And my buddy I call him Steelworker Ron, that's the nickname I'm giving. He's crying out about the Illinois plates. When are we going to get tough with stuff around here? We're not. We're going down quick, Tom. I'm going to make another prediction. We're going down quick. I tell you one thing that is a good thing. They shut the gas stations down.
Yeah, and it was something, though, that you disagreed with,
idea.
and we found out that it was a great idea. It was a great idea, and it's worked well.
And look, it's getting worse.
Look, as far as being shorthanded in Chicago, it was pointed out by on one of the news channels yesterday that there's a shortage of police officers in New York City as well. And, you have fewer police officers, like you said, you have fewer people to respond to crimes and fewer people to be out there also to serve as a deterrent to crime. And so that's unfortunate. Hey, MX, thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it.
Maybe you could help. Maybe you could help Steele work around with the Illinois license plates. I'll let you go,
All right.
Tom.
All right. Take care. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning.
I think, put my opinion on the Postal Service. In 2017, over 300 sorting facilities were gutted. And Gary, the King Drive Club, used to be a sorting facility. Now it's cross-dock, which means only local mail is distributed from there. So it comes in, like I'll bring a semi full of mail, and that will go not to the carriers out of Gary, but it'll go to Lowell, it'll go to DeMont, so it's literally cross-dock, where they used to be a sorting facility in Gary. All of that now is South Suburban. They've tried to close the Gary facility. I've been going there for over 20 years. They've been trying to close that facility for like the last 10 years, and they just can't because it's so valuable with the cross-dock, truck to truck, and that's basically what cross-dock is. You bring in 50 skids in one door, and then that's distributed between 10 different trucks in other doors. So, but it all started in 2017 when I saw them take 16 or 17. They told me there were sorting machines that sorted the mail, and then it went out from there. Now that no longer happens. Okay, but that was a countrywide effort to suppress mail during election season.
So let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question. You just hit on it. Does all of the problems that exist with the Postal Service give you any confidence when it comes to mail and ballots?
Oh, the confidence is a lot less. But, we all also, this is not anything that's happened since 2017. This started in 2005 when George H.W. Bush, his administration, mandated that the United Postal Service, which is self-funded, not taxpayer-funded, self-funded, that they were mandated to acquire 75 years of pensions in 10 years. So they were mandated, and you can look this up. I'm sure you remember it. It was 75 years of retirement funding in 10 years, which they basically wanted to break the Postal Service. And there was one reason why. The Postal Service said it was going to go to natural gas. They're the second largest consumer of fuel next to our military is the United States Postal Service. And when they said they were going to get away from fossil fuels in 2005, that's when all that stuff, you have to fund 75 years of pensions in 10 years, basically to break it. And working for the company I work for, everyone said, oh, UPS and FedEx and DHL, they want that business. No, we don't. You know why? There's no money in it.
Well,
you can't make any money.
Let me just jump in and say that if you look at the history of the Postal Service, you mentioned George W. Bush in 2005 and his actions. Mm-hmm. You mentioned 2017. You look at it in 1996, which was, I guess, Bill Clinton, and this act that basically said that the Postal Service, the postal inspectors could no longer investigate internal matters, that the internal matters had to go to an office of the OIG, which they only staffed with 300 people. It seems like there have been so many missteps and so many foolish moves when it comes to the Postal Service. The one thing that is a truth
is I completely agree with you.
The service keeps on getting worse and the price keeps on going up. And it's like nobody has sat there and, like Mark from Hobart texted this morning and said, well, okay, if the volume is down 50%, why is it that they haven't reduced the number of employees? And maybe by reducing employees, they become more efficient and they could do a better job delivering the mail. None of that happens. It's just like the Postal Service is this giant hole that they just throw money into, and it just keeps on getting deeper and deeper.
I don't know where my good friend Mark, it's a very simple Google. How many, and this has been a systemic problem, not since 2017. This has been over 20 years that the Postal Service has been subjected to this. I've been going to King Drive for 20 years. They have a skeleton crew there compared to what they used to have. Yeah, so I'm there. I'm actually on the dock. So I count people, and I know the people that have retired. I know the people that they forced out.
But
so I don't know where.
But I have to tell you,
from.
I actually pulled up that information the other day because I was talking to a postal inspector about the problem in Whiting, and he said, well, look the numbers up. There's 640,000 employees to the Postal Service, and I did, and sure enough, I confirmed that the numbers, the total numbers. You're right. Locally, you don't see them. But they must be somewhere because the number of employees for the Postal Service hasn't gone down. And again, if you go to the Postal Service website, they show that there's 640,000 employees. So it's mind-boggling. I can never understand. Look, small town of Whiting, okay, 1 square mile. You've got somebody sitting there at the counter. If it's local mail, why can't they just sort it and redistribute it so it gets delivered the next day there?
They used
Instead,
to.
They throw
That's
it in a bag.
exactly what I said in 2017.
Right. They throw it into a bag. It goes to Gary.
When all the sorting machines.
Yep.
That used to be sorted in which we would say domestically. Domestically means just this region, Northwest Indiana. It doesn't mean nationwide, right?
Right.
So that's what it used to be sorted. Now it goes to South Chicago, which they call South Suburban, and then it turns around and comes right back. You would be amazed. The mail that I deliver that goes cross-dock, that goes to South Bend and turn around and comes right back. And this is because they've eliminated all the sorting machines in 2017.
Just crazy.
They finally got rid of them. Yeah, it is, and it's the only thing that's keeping the post office alive right now. A lot of it is they ship a lot of pharmaceuticals, prescriptions, and just basically, which, the term junk mail, right? The post office uses it in air quotes bulk mail. It's all ads and things like that, campaign, furniture stores, all the ads we get in the mail all the time.
Right.
Insurance, health insurance, and all that stuff.
Look, we need to move on, but isn't it frightening?
Afloat.
Isn't it frightening that you just said one of the things that's keeping them in business is that they handle pharmaceuticals? To me, that's terrifying.
Oh yeah,
that's
terrifying.
True.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for the call.
When I get there, and I'll let you with that.
All right, thanks so much. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, excuse me. Hi. I have a little. I'd like to talk about something a little bit different in the Postal Service. Okay, let's talk about the Bears. What's up with that? All of a sudden, they're not going to come. I mean, they didn't say they weren't going to come, but now they're still considering Arlington Heights.
So there was a statement. There was a statement made by Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and he said that they needed to give fair consideration for Arlington Heights and locations in Illinois as well. And that seemed to come out of left field. The Bears have been pretty steadfast that they're coming. They're looking at Northwest Indiana, and there was some good news just the other day again about their consideration of the Hammond site and how they're actually now conducting some surveys to see, what Bears fans would be looking for in a new location in Hammond. So there seems to be some conflicting information, but the last I heard was when, George McCaskey said at his press conference maybe 2-3 weeks ago that, at this point, the only location that they're having discussions on is the Hammond location.
Well, and I don't get it, though. I keep up with this on ChatGPT, okay? And I'm not a Bear fan. I really am not. I don't even watch football. But I did like the idea of them coming to Hammond. I thought, wow, what a great thing that would be, because, Hammond's doing great things. I really, have to applaud, the mayor on what he does for Hammond and all his efforts. And this seems like they want us to dance for them, gotta give them more consideration. They've had almost a year, you know, and all of a sudden now they want more consideration. You know, I sometimes think, well, was this all a ruse just so they can get more money, or maybe Illinois would give them more tax money and they could come here and stay there and in Arlington Heights where they own the property.
That's always been a consideration, that this is just a ploy to, you know, basically extract the maximum amount of investment and tax dollars out of Illinois. But the people that I've talked to, the mayor of Hammond, Mayor McDermott, his chief of staff, Scott Miller, to the governor, when I've talked just to the three of those, and these are personal conversations, they're all pretty convinced that this is a very legitimate effort to come to Hammond. I mean, they feel that it's legitimate and it's moving forward. I just don't. I also don't totally trust the Chicago sports media, because the Chicago sports media is clearly biased about them moving across the line to Indiana, which I don't understand why, because there are I think there are 8 NFL teams that don't play in the actual city that they're named for. You know, New York Jets, for example, play in New Jersey. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on, but I'll tell you what, Mayor McDermott has agreed to come on about every 6 weeks. The governor's agreed to come on monthly, and they're both going to be coming on the next few weeks, so we'll ask them the question.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's great. Thank you for letting me, because I really, like I said, I'm not really a football fan, but I am a fan of Hammond, and I like to see anything that, you know, gives this city that would be a huge boost to the city, and also to Whiting and to every other city surrounding and further out, you know.
Absolutely.
And I just think we have a lot to offer.
All right.
Well,
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
845-1100. We've got more callers waiting, but we're going to take a quick break because Lynette's like, okay, you're taking a break whether you want to or not. It's the morning call with Tom Dabertin, day 1 of day 2 of a 2 week. We'll be right back.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strag and Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
The best just got better. Tech Credit Union is proud to celebrate being recognized with Best of the Region, Best CEO, and Best Banker. To celebrate, we're offering 3 special CD offers with rates up to 4.5% APY for a limited time. Visit techcu.org or stop by your nearest Tech Credit Union branch or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union, the better option for people and communities we serve. Member NCUA. Minimum deposit required. Offer subject to change. Visit techcu.org for complete details.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
All right, we're back. And by the way, folks, I just love days like this when we have full lines. It's great. I love taking your calls and love talking to all of you. And I apologize if you feel like I'm rushing you. I'm not. But we do have so many callers. We want to get to everyone. Don't forget, John Doherty's going to be on in a few minutes. We're going to talk sports medicine with John. And then at 8:05, Rick Reif is going to call in and talk about rock and rail. So, and at 8:30 will be the Chamber of Commerce show. But I do want to mention Pawpalooza. It's a pet fair and adoption event. It's going to be held on Sunday, October 4th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Region Cat Cafe, 281 West 80th Place in Maryville. And that's coming up again in October, so I wanted to bring that up. And also there will be a pet blessing by Deacon Steve from Our Lady of Consolation at 1:45 p.m. with that event. 845-1100, we'll go back to the phone lines. Good morning, you're on the air.
Chuck. Tom, I mean.
Yes,
sorry.
yes. No, I'm Tom, yes.
Yeah, I know. Let's make it very clear. People say what Matlock is. He's a kind of Republican, and let's make it very clear. I'm a person who cares about America, and whoever the president is, if it's a Democrat doing a terrible job, I'm gonna say they're doing a terrible job. Okay? If a Republican's doing a job, if some of these people who call on there, Donald Trump can do no wrong.
MX was pulling your chain, Ron. He was just having fun with you. That's all he was doing. He was just having fun.
What I'm saying, let's make it very clear. Some people are single issue on single issues. Like I hear one guy say, "Well, he don't stand for Mervan, don't stand for the thing." Okay, I might not agree with him on that. On Mervan if he's not standing, but basically, the thing that I like what Mervan is about, he seems to be knowing how to cross the aisle. I don't care who.
No, okay, that's one where, Ron, I got to disagree with you because his votes show otherwise. He doesn't cross the aisle. He doesn't vote with Republicans on much of anything. He absolutely has not. Well, he has been, and even elected officials. Wait, Ron, wait a second. Even local elected officials have said that he is entrenched in the Democratic Party because of the bailout that they gave him 4 years ago, and he votes their way and he does whatever they tell him to do. He never crosses the aisle. So I disagree with you on that. Okay. But hey, we've got to move on because we've got other callers, and we got to move on. I'm sorry. 845-1100. Sorry about that, Ron. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Cat Cafe is a really great spot. Don't wait until October for the Palooza. Drop by and get a good coffee. They serve wine and beer, sandwiches, soup, and they have all kinds of stuff, toys and stuff for cats, and they have an upper level that you can have birthday parties and so forth. They have a lot of cat art up there, and it's it's like a half a block from the Maryville post office. In fact, you can see the Cat Cafe from the Maryville post office.
Yeah, there's a landmark that we want to draw attention to is the post office these days. But I get the location, and again, it sounds like a great event. It's coming up again in October, and right. It's just a good event. So let me read it again. Small print. Sorry about that. It is going to be held on October 4th. From 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, do your part. Do your part to support pets. Any monies that are raised, of course, goes to a great cause.
They get about 15 to 20 vendors, and of course, they run the cafe, and it's a quality event, and they have a section that's sealed off from the place where people can eat and buy other goodies, and you can pay to rent to be able to play with the cats. And if you're interested in getting a cat, the one good thing about them is you can tell them the kind of cat you want. You want a lap cat. You want a cat that is good with kids. You want a cat that is good with other cats, the colors, type cat, and so forth. And they have arrangements with other cat organizations, and they'll get you exactly what you want in the way of a cat. Worthwhile, definitely.
All right, very good. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks again, Walt. Thank you. 845-1100. We'll move on to another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi. I live in Chicago Heights, and I get mail from blocks away periodically. So what I do is I save it in my travels in other suburbs. I just deposit it in a mailbox, let it go through the system again, because putting it out in the mailbox for the letter carrier, who always has a microphone in their ear and the mouth is always going, they're just going to, cover it up, and the main office will never know. And the second thing also is this Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama was a member of the Communist Party in Chicago, the headquarters, where he was involved in that. And they figured out way back when that you're never going to beat America with boots on the ground, but if you can affect the minds and rip the fabrics out of the minds of the youth, that'll deteriorate the morality and everything in the country. And we've all heard dumbing down, with the school and the colleges. I got wind that a lot of the universities, if the professors were teaching capitalism or promoting capitalism, they were ran off. And I believe that what we're seeing now is, a decade and a half or two ago, of the socialism being taught at these universities, the youth of today, they're all voting socialist. They don't know better. They don't understand. And Hillary was an actual student, I believe, of Saul Alinsky, who wrote the book Rules for Radicals. And she studied that, and so did Barack Obama. And
let me just jump in. Let me just jump in and say that you're right that there are a lot of people who have been fed a lot of misinformation when it comes to capitalism, and I don't think capitalism is being taught correctly in the schools or in universities. I think that in fact there is a bias, especially at the college level, against capitalism. So I agree with you on that. Hey,
okay, that's all I have. You got a wonderful day. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, glad to do so. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for calling. I'll tell you what, why don't we switch gears for a minute? We've got John Dabertin here, so we're going to go right into our visit with John. Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm terrific. Tom, how are you?
Good to have you here. So your latest article, of course, continues a discussion that we've had a number of times about the Guardian cap cover that basically doesn't really provide any protection. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the NFL continues to the thing that concerns me the most is the NFL continues to promote the Guardian cap, and their version of the Guardian cap is entirely different from the version of the Guardian cap that's sold at high schools.
Really?
It is about 50% heavier. In the lab, at least in the lab, the NFL Guardian cap works. On the field, it doesn't. Lab conditions are different from field conditions. But even in the lab, the high school version doesn't work. And the NFL has come out and said that on the one hand, and on the other hand, they tell high schools, we recommend that everybody wear the Guardian cap. It just doesn't add up.
What doesn't add up, I guess, is that there have been plenty of studies now. You've pointed out, there have been plenty of studies. They don't work. So why promote something that basically is already even proven that it's not providing the protection that
because it looks like they're doing something.
Okay, then you know what? I get that, I guess. It makes it look like they're doing something when they're really not. Maybe that's what I was looking for from the U.S. Attorney's Office the other day. But that's a point well taken. So look, we're now into the throes of the football season, and you and I have talked about this before as well. That the Guardian cap, the helmets are not going to protect you. What you have to do to play football these days is you have to be smart.
Yes, you have to learn to not hit with your head and learn again, like they used to teach decades ago, and hopefully more and more teams are teaching it again now, to make your initial point of contact your shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said that if you go back and you look at football in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there were less head injuries at the time. Of course, I understand that modern medicine didn't exist and some of the detections didn't exist, but you talk to some of the old timers that played football back in those days, and they said it was all about using your shoulders, using your arms. You didn't use your head because you're only wearing a leather helmet. You knew what would happen.
Right.
You knew what would happen. I mean, my uncle was a great football player, and he always said, you didn't use your head, because if you used your head, you're going to feel it. So you used different parts of your body instead.
Right. There's a push out there now to teach players in practice to learn how to tackle while they're not wearing a helmet. And the teams that do that in games, they have up to a third less head contact in games. And this issue goes beyond football. Football's taking the beating here, and justifiably so. But when it comes to head injuries, soccer is every bit as dangerous in the long term, and so is hockey. So if we eliminated headers from soccer, and I'd love somebody to call in and explain to me why we have to have headers in soccer, because they are so dangerous. And if we eliminated checking at the youth level in hockey, if you eliminate checking in hockey, the number of head injuries drops by a factor of 4, and overall injuries drop by over 55%. So if we could limit the contact and focus on the skills of the game rather than the collisions, all the kids playing in these collision games would be better off later in life.
And again, that's what sets apart athletics from everything else. It's supposed to be about the athletic prowess, the capabilities, the abilities that the person has. And when you talk about checking, when you talk about needless head injuries, it really doesn't show that they've mastered their ability to play that sport. They're relying on
pure violence.
Pure violence. I mean, it's almost like watching the Three Stooges, except that the Three Stooges were good actors and good comedians. I mean, I just got this actually from someone. I just read through it, but Julie Titart, I guess is the name, a transgender woman who plays basketball in France, basically has come out and it appears largely agrees with Sophie Cunningham that men don't belong in women's sports. That's interesting.
That is interesting, but she is playing women's sports, isn't she?
She is, but she's saying that it really doesn't belong, I guess, at the lower levels, at the juvenile level, is what she's saying. So that's an interesting stand. There is some consternation about Aja Wilson not wanting to play now for the World Cup team. She said that she's going to sit it out and not play on the team because she wants to prepare for the playoffs. And there's been kind of a negative response to that, because they're saying, wait a minute, everybody else, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and everyone else, is playing for the World Cup to represent the United States. And Aja Wilson says, well, she's got to worry about the playoffs. So do they.
I can't believe the WNBA wouldn't be arranging their schedule and encouraging their athletes so they can play and represent our nation in international play.
At the same time, it seems a bit odd that you've got this 2-week break now in the WNBA while they're playing in the World Cup. I mean, it seems like the timing couldn't be worse to interrupt the season. I mean, you've got that motivation and you're moving forward, and the teams that are basically in the hunt for the championship and the playoffs are getting ready for it, and then you've got a 2-week break.
Yeah,
that seems a little odd.
Yeah. You think that organizers at levels above yours and mine could figure this out so the schedules don't collide and affect both so drastically?
You would think a lot of things are done, but they're not done. Hey, we have some callers. Let's go to the calls. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, good morning. Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. So I'm going to talk about some festivals and that. There's one in particular I'd like to mention for everybody. It's a good time for the family and everything, which is the Blueberry Fest in Plymouth, Indiana. Starts Thursday, goes all the way to Monday, and they don't charge you for parking or get in. However, a lot of businesses will charge you to park there at a residence, which circulates, back in the community anyway when they charge. But it's a great time, man. It's big, probably 5-6 times bigger than Taste of Chicago. Blueberry Fest in Plymouth, Indiana.
Yeah, it's a very
And I got
large
another
fest. Yep.
question to answer you guys. It is really great time. Awesome. Straight
I'm in.
down
I'm in
30,
when
Marshall
if it's
County.
blueberries. I'm in. Go ahead.
Well, it's just so huge. It's big. It's phenomenal. They got booths. They sell everything. They got the best food out there. Hey, I do got something to ask you though. You hear all this about socialism, communism, or radical. Maybe one of you guys could just kind of briefly explain what each one stands for.
You know what, we'll do that.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
John
right
now is here to talk about. We're really here to talk about sports medicine. So tell you what, when we come back at 8 o'clock, we'll address that. Okay. We'll address that.
Good enough. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Be glad to.
You guys are doing good.
We'll be glad to address it at 8 o'clock. Hey, thanks so much. 845-1100. If you have a call, if you have a question for John about sports, we're coming up on the start of the college football season, which I saw the other day that only the NFL pays out more money right now than colleges do when it comes to the cost of college athletics now.
College football at the highest level now really is a professional sport that, in a sense, where the talent intersects, where guys that are near the top of college football but not quite good enough to play in the NFL, or guys at the bottom of the NFL good enough to play in the NFL but are the backups in the NFL, they'll make more money in college.
Yeah, I mean it's just, to me, it's hard to believe that all of a sudden college sports is paying that well. I mean, I realize that what went on at Alabama was no joke over the years. There was a lot of stuff going on that wasn't reported, but you look at even players that are talking about jumping out of the NFL, they get cut, and then they want to be considered back to college, which I think is a massive mistake.
That's a big mistake, and it seems for once that all the colleges have united behind this idea, except for LSU. And we'll see how things play out in court on Thursday. I hope the temporary restraining order is lifted and SEC schools, Big Ten schools can do what they know is right. Once you moved on to the NFL, God bless you, but you've moved on. And the other thing I don't understand is maybe LSU's academic term hasn't started yet. But I don't know how these guys jump back into college and go back to class. And if the term has already started, how do you, and you're a couple of weeks into a college term, how do you go back to class?
Well, the argument is that it was really started by Livy Dunn, that Livy Dunn actually was competing as a gymnast at LSU, and she wasn't taking any classes.
Right.
And so...
Well, there we go again. LSU.
And LSU, of course, LSU, was a dumping ground for Brian Kelly and just a lot of...
now Lane Kiffin and Tiger Stripes never changed. Lane Kiffin's the same Lane Kiffin he's always been.
Yeah, and again, why they can't conform to every like every other college and university is beyond me, but they do it nonetheless, and it's problematic. I mean, to me, it's frightening that we're going to dilute college sports to the point where we've got NFL players basically who can't make it in the NFL going back and playing in college so that they can go back to the NFL.
Right. Yeah, they're looking for an extra year of development in college so they can go back to the NFL. And in the meantime, and I know it's happened at Notre Dame. We've had a number of athletes that knew they were going to be 6th or 7th round picks in the NFL, but did the math and knew they were going to make more NIL and revenue sharing money at Notre Dame than they would have made as a late round pick in the NFL.
That's frightening. That's just frightening. That again, college sports was so much fun to watch all these years because you had the idea that those were pure athletes. They weren't involved in all the financial dealings, and now all of a sudden it's kind of been ruined for a lot of us. That it's not pure athleticism anymore. It's how much money am I making off of my NIL contract.
It was enough of a business when I was involved 40 plus years ago, and now it's entirely a business.
Yeah, it's just a business.
And people are cut loose strictly for business reasons, and loyalty. It isn't even a one-way street anymore. It's a no-way street. There's no loyalty in either direction at so many of these institutions.
Well, speaking of college sports, and the other day, of course, I was involved in a interview by a good friend of mine, Joni Lum from Fox Chicago, and we were talking, oddly enough, about the new Northwestern Stadium.
Yeah.
So Northwestern spent $821 million, although they didn't spend the money. The Ryan family spent the money.
Yeah, it was their money, yeah.
But $821 million for a facility that only seats 35,000.
I was going to say, it's going to be the smallest, by far, Big Ten stadium. So
their argument is, well, we only have, like 9,000 undergrads on campus. We're one of the smallest campuses for the Big Ten. And we just don't have that draw that we don't need 60,000 or 70,000 seats. And I guess that makes sense. But at the same time, to spend $821 million to build a stadium that only seats 35,000.
And that's all it's going to do. It's going to be a medium-sized football stadium. It won't have – they're talking about multi-use. It's not going to be the multi-use facility that a bigger stadium is. And they've built it. It looks beautiful, and they've built it in a great location. I don't understand why they didn't put 20,000 more seats in there, because they will fill it. They may not like it, but they will fill it when Ohio State and Michigan come to town. They'll fill it when Penn State comes to town.
Absolutely, and that's why I didn't understand, because you have the opportunity when you play those kinds of teams. You're going to draw huge numbers. They're going to be looking for tickets. The availability isn't going to be there, and then, as you said, you're not going to fill that stadium for a lot of other things.
No.
So let's take a quick break. You're listening to The Morning Call. John Daugherty sitting in as a guest. We'll be right back.
I'm Pastor Eric Boone, pastor of the Tree of Life Church here in the great city of Gary, Indiana. The Notre Dame Credit Union. Go beyond and above to make sure that we are in position to make that greater impact. Listen, this credit union is one of a kind, and I'm looking forward to the future because I know that we will continue to do greater things together, and I'm forever grateful for a credit union like this.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention, and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
All right, we're back, and we've got some callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. You're on the air. Well, guess not.
Are you with me now?
Oh, yes. We're waiting for you. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, there's a couple different beeps going there. Hey, just one correction.
the alleged quote unquote woman you referred to over in Europe who's
Yes.
a transgender individual?
Yes.
Yeah, she has a penis. She's a man. That's a man. You can dress up like a woman all you want. No person in the history of God has ever transitioned to anything but a human being that they were born as. So, now that we put that to rest. What are you talking about the World Cup? The World Cup of what? What are these girls going to...
Well, this is the FIFA. This is a FIFA World Cup for basketball, and it just seems odd
that nobody's going to watch. We can't even watch the WNBA.
Well,
Nobody's watching.
There was some viewership in the spring when they played, basically like North American teams. Remember, they were playing down in Puerto Rico, and it got some views. So they basically now decided the championships are going to be played between the different continental champions, and they're playing against, by the way, they're going to play against China Friday night, and the lineup includes a 7'3" center, a 6'7" guard or forward, and I think another 6'3" or 6'4" guard. So I mean, you're talking about.
I want to check the speedos on those girls, allegedly quote unquote women.
Well, again, they're
all right. So quick question for John.
Go ahead, Mad Mac.
If soccer is so bad on the head, why don't we hear of more soccer players having the what is the syndrome we have when you get banged in the head in the football?
It's for whatever reason.
Is there not a record like out of Europe with a lot of them because they play more over there, right?
Yes, and the studies on those European soccer players for whatever reason don't get play in the American media. Their neurodegenerative issues like CTE and Parkinson's and ALS, they have the same numbers, if not worse, than NFL football players.
So it's basically
right.
It's basically because the NFL spends so much money and is such a big business in the U.S. It draws a lot more attention. I think is the biggest issue.
Yeah, what happened with the high school boys and girls wearing that little headband thing that was like a little, some kind of plastic plate or whatever to help them out with the headers in that?
They don't work.
Like that's just gone by the wayside, huh?
Yeah, it's because they don't work. It was totally window dressing and an opportunity for smart marketers to make some money on something that just they don't work.
And that's part of the problem, man.
Oh, they're like the marshmallow football helmets, huh?
Yeah, yes. Look, it's part of the problem with sports. There's no like official endorsement or approval by the American Medical Association or some federal agency. It's just some company that goes out there and says, "Hey, if you wear this plastic device, it's going to protect you."
Right.
So it's
I
a
thought
scam.
they helped. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. Yep. It's just
great
another
show, John.
Scam.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Mad Mac. 845-1100. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
I can't help but notice that shiny object. Is that a Notre Dame ring?
Oh, jeez. Yes, it is.
I thought you were going to talk about my forehead. When you said shiny object, I thought it was my forehead you're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I am a Notre Dame
grad.
Are
you a Notre Dame grad?
I am, yes.
Well, I went to state school, so I'm not as privileged as you are. But at state school, they taught me about the use. You ready for this?
Go.
They taught me about the use of a gauntlet button on a dress shirt.
Okay.
Look sharp, be sharp.
Okay. All right. I mean,
you want to button that so you look a little better?
Is he talking to you?
You're talking to me? This is a polo shirt.
I'm talking to the Notre Dame grad there.
Oh, wait a minute. The Notre Dame grad. Wait a second. I think.
Does he have a button open somewhere?
No, I think he's got all his buttons buttoned.
On your sleeve. It's called a gauntlet button.
Oh.
Look at your
right.
sleeve.
He's right.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sleeves.
Okay.
Raise your sleeves.
All right.
Right.
I got you.
You know what? I never knew the name.
That.
Right. I never knew that there was a name for that. So that's called the gauntlet button.
Okay, nice to know that.
Wow.
Be sharp, gentlemen.
Well, that's actually very interesting.
All right.
I always wondered was there a name for that because
now we know the rest of the story.
Well, I like dress shirts that have that extra button. And not all shirts have it, but he explained it. The gauntlet button. Wow.
Right. Now I know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
All right. There. Now we learned something. 845-1100. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hey, sorry to call in. I do love Jamie's post. Mad Mac Rock and Rail Touch and Feel Fest this weekend. Yeah. You remember last year?
Yeah, we do.
He always calls in all irate and crazy, and it's amazing to me that he's allowed to call in. I'll leave it at that.
Well, he hasn't been. He was charged but not convicted, and so we have to subscribe to the idea of people having the right to use the airwaves regardless, and he's entitled to his opinions. But I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. I guess we're moving. We are going to have, speaking of rock and rail, we're going to have Rick Rifa on at 8:05, folks. So, and Rick's going to give a roundup and rundown of what's coming up. And there's a lot going on this weekend, of course. Lots to watch on television.
Yes, a lot of football.
A lot of football. Yep. A lot of football coming up. But, again, there's some other great events around here as well. But I always mention this because when I'm stopped by people on the street and they say, hey, when you have John Daugherty on, can you just have him give some advice to high school athletes? And I hear it from parents. I hear it, I'm at Straka Van Til and Walmart and everywhere else. I've had people come up. So if you were going to give advice to high school athletes right now, what would it be?
Be a multi-sport athlete. Don't focus on one sport at the early age of high school. If you're really good at baseball or you're really good at basketball, you're still going to be really good at baseball and basketball, but your body needs a rest. Same with soccer. The unfortunate thing with soccer, the unfortunate thing I think with volleyball, these have turned into year-round sports, and the muscle groups that you use in those particular sports are different than you would use in other sports, and you quite literally wear them out. The other thing about being a multi-sport athlete is you pick up skills in your secondary sport that you wouldn't otherwise pick up that can translate to your main sport. And if you look at the people that are drafted by the NFL and that are drafted in the NBA and are drafted by Major League Baseball, if you dig down deep, you find out that most of them, the majority of them, played at least one other sport while they were in high school.
And I'll throw a name that you're familiar with, Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple sports.
Multiple sport athlete.
Yeah. So it does make you, it makes you more marketable. It gives you more opportunity. And again,
sometimes you're going to find you might be better in the sport that you didn't think was your main sport.
Yeah. In fact, I saw an interview with him just the other day. He was actually in an interview during the pregame or the preseason game with the Bears. And he said that, he wasn't totally sure he was going to go into football. Right. He had considered baseball. So, there's a multi-sport athlete, just as an example.
You will lengthen your career. The athletes who play multi-sports get fewer injuries, and they, aside from the physical issues, mentally they don't burn out. So variety is the spice of life.
All right, there you have it. John, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again. See you in a couple of weeks because we'll see you on a Thursday as well.
Thursday, I think the 17th.
Yes, so that's coming up. Great to see you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great
Happy
to
Labor Day.
have you. Happy Labor Day to you as well. You're listening to The Morning Call on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, the TuneIn app, and YouTube Live. We're going to be right back, and when we come back, Rick Rife is going to call in and talk about rock and rail. So keep it tuned right here. We'll be right back.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you. And we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
All right, I love that commercial with Jed where he says, do you like to work with your hands? And the answer, of course, is yes. Do you want to build something from nothing? It's like, yes, this show. Anyway, 845-1100 is the number to call. It's the morning call with Tom Dabertin. It's great to be here with you this morning. We've got a lot of calls. We're going to get a lot more callers before we're done this morning. But I believe right now we have Rick Rifa, who is the town council president of the town of Griffith and the head of the Rock and Rail Fest. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, Tom. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? You've got to be a little frazzled right now. You're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. In addition to being town council president, you've got quite a festival to run.
It was quite the last 3 weeks. So we had about a 2-week interruption in planning and everything for the festival, but we're on track. We're ready to open, and the street's actually closing as we speak.
Well, that was the first question that I had. Any impact, any lingering impact from the storm?
We've fought through it all. It was a rough last couple of weeks just because many of us didn't have power for 10 days. The town hall was down with internet with no power. We had a generator, but there was no internet. So it's back to normal, and we've worked double and triple time in order to get this thing started. Well,
and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. One of the very best highlights of Northwest Indiana is the Rock and Rail Festival. You do an absolutely phenomenal job running that festival. It is safe, it's clean, it's entertaining, there's great food. Tell people what they can expect. If they haven't been to Rock and Rail, tell them what Rock and Rail is all about.
So it started off as simply a one-day street festival 18 years ago. We quickly morphed into a music festival, which I'd say maybe 10 years ago we switched to primarily the main stage with all tribute bands. And these are tribute bands through all over the country. We try to get the best there is of any artist that would be performing of. And then we've added stages. We've got a bar stage every night that plays in between the main stage acts, and we have a Lake Street stage, which got a lot of wonderful bands, some original music, some more cover. So it's a little bit of everything for everybody. And besides the music, we've got 40 plus vendors serving some wide variety of food, and it encompasses 2 full blocks on the 100 block and 200 block of Broad Street.
And I want to give a kind of a rundown of some of the acts. I mean, when you talk about tribute acts and genre. I mean, you've got a Fleetwood Mac tribute band, you've got a Led Zeppelin tribute band, you've got the Selena Experience, music of Rush, Toby Keith, John Mellencamp, AC/DC. I mean, you really cover a wide range of musical tastes, and again, the food is great. There's plenty of beer garden stations as well. And one of the nice things is you take advantage of the DORA law, so people can walk with their beer. They're not sequestered in one particular location. So great food, but it's the music. And you've got how many stages? 3 stages?
Yep, 3 stages. One on the north end, the main stage, which is on the south end, and then the bar stage, which is just off the main stage.
Yeah, and I mean, just some great music and great entertainment, and it's relaxing. And Griffith PD does a great job, but you pull in resources, of course, from a number of different police departments in the area.
Correct. Yeah, we've got other police departments. We've got quite a few county officers as well. So that's one thing we've always, from the very beginning, wanted it to be safe. If there's ever an issue, it doesn't last very long. And safety is a priority for all of our guests.
Now, I don't know if he's going to be out there, but is Ed Stribiak from Munster PD coming out of retirement? He's usually there out of retirement every year. I know his son, I think, is with Griffith PD.
I believe I saw his name on the list. So he will be in his usual spot by the stage.
Excellent. Yeah, it's great to see him. It's great to see him. We grew up together, and it's just nice to see him out there. And great officer, and his son's a great officer too. I know you guys are very proud of him with Griffith PD, but it's a relaxed atmosphere. You feel very safe, folks. Parking is at a premium, but it's you can find it. There's a lot of parking in the area. You have to walk a little bit, but it's just a nice, relaxed festival. In fact, I've noticed, Rick, over the years that I see a lot of off-duty police officers from surrounding communities that are there with their families just enjoying the festival, and that says a lot about the safety of Rock and Rail Fest. When you see off-duty police officers not there working, they're there actually enjoying the festival.
Yep, that's great. That's great to see, and we certainly want to try to give the best hosts we can to everybody. And one thing we've got this year, we've got a couple different things we're doing. One is we've got I'm not sure, Tom, if you're familiar with the K-pop music and how that's kind of taken off a little bit for the kids.
Yeah, it's you know what? Anything here. My son always says, if the music was written after 1980, you probably don't know it. So that's my take on K-pop.
But there's actually McDonald's had a Happy Meal for K-pop stuff earlier this year. So we've got a K-pop band on Saturday at 2:00 called DLC Dance. They're going to cover all the top K-pop bands that are out there. So it's going to be really kid-focused. We'll have some a booth set up where some of the, I guess, the figurines or whatever you want to call them, the mascots will be there. And that's just we did that with the Taylor Swift a few years ago, and we're going to have a Taylor Swift tribute on Sunday at 2:00.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's just
Taylor Swift tribute, which is going to be very popular, no doubt about that.
Yeah, but the last couple of years, we've never had crowds like that at 2:00. I mean, thousands of people were there for that little show. So,
well, I mean, and by the way, I missed mentioning the tribute to Phil Collins, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the Ultimate Michael Jackson Experience. I mean, these are all really great tribute bands. Wow.
Yep. And if anybody is a Who fan, we've got a band called Teenage Wasteland. We searched for several years trying to find one of the best ones we could in the country, and I think we found it in this one. I think it'll be a real pleasant surprise for any Who fans.
So, and
They're
Donna,
on Friday at 8.
Yeah, I saw that, and Donald will be happy. I'll be disappointed, but that's okay. You've done it for many years, but I don't see a Simon and Garfunkel tribute band, so she's probably right now saying, "Oh, thank God," because I drag her to all those tributes. But I mean, what a great roundup of musical acts, and as you said, you bring them in from all over the country. I mean, really great entertainment, and then 40 some food vendors.
Correct. Yep.
So there's lots of food out there, and again, not to dismiss the fact that you use the DORA law, which basically allows people within the festival area to walk from one location to another with their beer. They don't have to. They don't have to stay in a beer garden. They can move around. That's very nice as well. I wish we could have done that for at Pierogi Fest. So.
Yeah, actually, we've done that for almost since the inception. What has changed is we used to have put a fence all the way around it, and we'd have to fence out the bars and the restaurants and all the other buildings. With it, we'd still have a 2-block fence around the whole festival where people can walk around. But what the DORA allows is anybody who is in the DORA district, which means our restaurants and bars, they can take a drink, or they can go get a drink inside those bars and they carry them out to the festival, or vice versa. Somebody from the festival can carry it into the bar. So it's not like you got to stand at the entrance or exit and slam your drink down in order to go get a bite to eat someplace at one of our restaurants.
Yeah, well,
you
know the story. You know the story about Dora, so it's kind of a sore point with me because I was the guy that pushed for the DORA law in Indiana because of Pierogi Fest, and then you called me and said, you called me and said, "Hey Tom, you're not using the DORA law," and I said, "No, we're not," and you're like, "Well, we're going to," and I came out and it was like, wow, what a great. I mean, it just makes sense. Look, you treat people as adults; they're responsible for their behavior no matter what, anyway, and frankly, I think the idea of letting people walk around with a beer reduces the possibility of problems. I really do.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like you're caged in a little beer garden jammed with each other, so you've got plenty of room to sprawl out.
Yeah, and they're not just sitting there trying to pound them down either. They're drinking, but they're also eating food. They're walking around. They're socializing. So I look forward to it. I look forward to going to Rock and Rail. You'll see me there. No doubt about it. And it's this weekend. It starts tomorrow. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
That's it.
Hey, thank you so much, Rick. Thanks for everything you do with it, and good luck to you, and I'll see you out there.
Okay, take care, Tom. Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And again, folks, great festival. And if you're out at Rock and Rail and you see a great big tall guy, 6'9", with a short little pretty blonde wife, you'll know who it is. Come up and say hi. I always like to see people at these festivals and talk to listeners. I mean, it's great to talk to you on the radio, but it's great to talk to you out at those festivals as well. And don't forget also, Sunday evening at 7:30 is the Whiting Symphony Festival Orchestra in Whiting Lakefront Park. So that's another great event to go to. So lots of great things to do this weekend. 845-1100 is the number to call. Had the one caller who asked the difference between socialism and capitalism. And without giving proper definition to both, socialism basically is the idea that that the economy is run collectively, largely through government, that they basically own the operations, and their basically goal is to kind of equally distribute the benefits and the fruits of the economy, where capitalism basically says that each man or woman can make their own living and be a success. And for 250 years, the United States has been known as that land of dreamers, the land that you can come here and you can make your fortune and you can be successful. And in the process of being successful, you're employing others and you're helping them with their lives as well. So I'm bothered by the socialist wing of the Democratic Party. I don't think I'm alone. I've heard Rahm Emanuel's comments, and I think he's right on target, by the way. I wasn't enamored with him as a president, but as a mayor of Chicago. But I think he is trying to buck for running for president now. And he's right on target. He's saying, look, they really aren't part of our party and they really don't belong there. And James Carville, who I've quoted many times, has pretty much said the same thing. They're really not part of the Democratic Party. And I think Carville's gone so far as to say that they ought to start their own party if they want to run for office and not piggyback off the Democrats. 845-1100, we've got some time to talk about that, to see how you feel about this kind of takeover that's going on in the Democratic Party, and we can talk about it tomorrow as well, because we've got the Chamber of Commerce show coming up in about 15 minutes. But I'm bothered by the concept that, socialism, not communism. Communism totally scares me. A communist economy is basically a communist regime. They control everything. They want to control your mind. They want to control what you say, what you think, how you do it. But the socialist experiment has failed in most countries in the world. It hasn't worked. More times than not, the socialist experiment has failed, and they've moved back to capitalism. Even in China, China is not a pure communist or socialist country anymore. There is some private ownership, because they understood that private ownership would help drive their economy. And so I don't understand why the rise of socialism in the United States. My theory is that COVID had something to do with it. In part, you had a lot of people that were disenfranchised, and they decided that they didn't want to work anymore, and they were just going to let kind of everybody else pay their bills and drag them along. I think that was part of it. I think the other thing is that we've taught the principles of socialism for years at the college level, and people kind of dismissed the impact of some of those professors that were making socialism out to be an opportunity for people, and it was dismissed by kind of the mainstream public. And all of a sudden now there's a generation or two that have been indoctrinated into socialist views, and I think it's detrimental to this nation. I do believe in capitalism. I believe that you have to make yourself. You have to go out and make yourself into a success, and not expect someone else to drag you along. I'm bothered by the views of the co-chair of the Democratic Socialist Party fringe or party association, who basically said a few weeks ago on one of the news programs that she not only believes in socialism, she believes that people should only work the amount of hours that they feel that they need to work. There shouldn't be mandatory attendance at work, for example. She also talked about getting rid of prisons and getting rid of the police and getting rid of borders and the military and everything else. And I don't know how she expects a country to survive. But some of these extremist views have found themselves into mainstream Democratic Party, and I think it's hurting them tremendously. I think the Democrats should be in a year where they would see an improvement dramatically in the number of seats that they control in Congress, and I'm not sure that that's going to happen, largely not because Donald Trump is doing a great job like he claims he is running this country. I think Donald Trump has made a lot of mistakes in his second term as president of the United States. I think he's disappointed a lot of people when it comes to the economy, especially. But at the same time, the Democrats sure haven't helped themselves, basically tying their future to these crazy socialists. Some of these people have extremist views that I can't see, local Democrats, for example, embracing ever. I don't think they would ever embrace some of these views. And the problem is right now you've got the pressure of the pulpit is with the socialist Democrats. I mean, we had a caller earlier who talked about the fact that Frank Mrvan didn't vote for a resolution. It was a non-binding resolution, basically denouncing capitalism. Only 2 Democrats voted for it and all the Republicans. It was a political move. So I'm not going to hold Frank Mrvan responsible on that one, because it was non-binding and really didn't have an impact. But it sure doesn't represent the views of his constituency either. He's supposed to be there to represent us. And I don't know too many people in Northwest Indiana that are saying, hey, I feel that, socialism is the way I want to go. So he's really he's not doing himself any favors. And again, the Trump administration, they've done some good things, okay, but they've not delivered when it comes to the economy. We've gotten into kind of a quagmire when it comes to Iran. I can't sit here and just say that I'm totally enamored with the Trump administration these days. I think that there have been some missteps, and I'm sorry to say that. I know that some people listening, in fact, one of my best friends just texted me and said, "Hey, stop the negativity on Donald J. Trump." I get that, but I've got to call it out the way I see it, folks. I just think that we could do better. And maybe the next 2 years will be a lot better improved, and I hope that's the case. But right now, we're caught up in a war with Iran that I don't totally understand. I was totally in support of Operation Sledgehammer or whatever it was called. We took out the nuke sites. I think that was great. I applauded him. I said it on the radio. I thought it was great. But now I'm not so sure that what we're doing is going to get us anywhere. I think that the invasion of Venezuela or the capture of Maduro was a great move. I think that has some long-standing impact, but it's not going to turn things around when it comes to gas prices anytime soon. And the average voter in America looks at their pocketbook first and foremost. And if they're paying higher prices at the gas pump and they're paying higher prices for food, then they're not happy. And I think that's an issue. At the same time, because of the socialist Democrats, I think that the Republicans stand a pretty good chance of holding the House and the Senate. 845-1100, we've got some callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Thomas. Brad, how are you?
Fine, Brad. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm well. Hey, talking one of my favorite subjects, capitalism versus socialism. I don't consider any of this in what they're doing socialism. It's communism. They're pushing communism. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to push it. Here's an example, and this is why it's such an epidemic. So this is from a flood victim or an almost flood victim due to the storms. And this person is holds a PhD, he's got all their degrees, got all their clout in the hospitals in the city. And they came to me as I was handing a generator to a neighbor and said, this is the problem with capitalism. We would have had all these trees cut down. Nobody would be flooding, all this stuff. My house didn't flood. And I said, hey. I said, the reason why your house didn't flood is because there was a competition for sump pumps. And that's called capitalism. And if you would have had your socialist sump pump, you would have flooded out. You understand? They would have handed it to you and said, here, take a cup and bail out your sump pump or make sure this socialistic sump pump that we made, that we had no competition for, no drive to make a better product. We just want to accommodate you. Here it is. And I said, are you out of your mind? I said, this is your entire generation, isn't it? And this goes back to a conversation I was having on Monday, and I had a conversation with you about it. They want to blame every generation, the younger generation, and I'm sorry, it's just not happening. I just don't believe it. This is America. You can go out and start a business. You can go out and make all kinds of different money here. And what they have done through the colleges and even down into high school and younger, I believe, is what you're saying. They're conditioning everyone to accept socialism. And now over the last few years, they've got an entire gang of college students, these people that think that they bought a house, they've got their degrees. They don't think that is from capitalism. That's capitalism. You have a competition of colleges.
Well,
they want to eliminate all of it.
Isn't it interesting?
Insane.
Isn't it interesting that some of the people that have problems with capitalism basically are the very ones who benefited from capitalism? Their families have wealth.
Absolutely.
Their family own homes. Their family has all the trappings. And then they get these socialist views.
Yep.
And I think part of it, too, is, we had a whole generation where we came up with this social experiment that everybody deserves an award. Everybody deserves a ribbon. Right? Or a trophy. And that's just not the case. There are people that are better at certain things than others, and we should acknowledge their prowess and their abilities. And capitalism does that, and socialism doesn't. Socialism says, well, you know what, Brad, you get an award. Tom, you get an award. Lynette, you get an award. And, Lynette's like, okay, but what's the award for? I didn't even play. but she gets an award. I mean, and we came up with these social experiments where we told people, oh, that's the way it should be. And I think that's the reason why we're in the mess we're in right now, that you've got these crazies on way on the left. I mean, these people aren't like just to the left. These people are way on the left in their views. And
absolutely.
I can't believe we're having these conversations.
It's out of control, and I'm sorry, but they have made the millennials, the Gen Z, and whatever else is before that, they've made them victims. They've made it okay to accept it as a victim. I'm a victim. I need the government's help. I want the government's help. I'm going to play by all the rules. Kids, rules and laws are put together and made to be broken. They should be tested all day long. That's part of what being an American is. It's not handing over the power to the government. That's the worst thing you can do. It's the opposite of how this country was founded, but you want to claim you're an American. Insanity. This is the one subject I won't let go, because what they will do is it'll be the same thing that happened with COVID when the money starts to collapse or the different kinds of money start coming in and we go through this financial change that we're being prepared for. You know, they had to push back all the financial big-time change. It's called the ISO 200022 standards. It's a worldwide standard where everyone has to be on like digital ledgers and blockchains to keep transparency of all the money so fraud can be eliminated, because that's what all those socialists want. They want rules, but it's for everybody. 65% of banks weren't even close to ready. Financial institutions up to 70%. They had to push it off another half a year. It's coming, people. Please look into it and stop being a bunch of socialist wussies. And because this country is going to completely fall through the cracks. And if you think you ain't got nothing now, and you think your money can't buy you anything now, wait till the inflation from socialism hits. Just go look up the history of it. You said it, Tom. It's never been successful.
Nope,
so
never
that's
at
my
all.
half a rant for today. It's coming up on the hour.
All right.
You
Hey,
have a
thanks,
good one,
Brad.
Tom. Great show.
Thanks, Brad. We're going to take a quick break, and I believe when we come back, we're going to have the Whiting Robertsdale Chamber of Commerce show right here on WJLB 1230 M, 104.7 FM. Don't forget, folks, if you didn't get on the radio this morning, you can call in tomorrow. I'm here 6 to 9 a.m. again tomorrow morning. So love to take your calls. We'll be right back.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention, and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people